Fleet Mobility Today.
Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be hitting the road and exploring the world of vehicles and suppliers in the Americas.
Ooh, sounds fun.
Yeah. We're going to be taking a look at a transcript from Fleet Mobility Today's YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's a video titled FMT Newsletter 37, Who are the leading vehicle suppliers in the Americas?
Catchy.
It is. And you know what's really interesting is that there are over 500 million passenger cars and light commercial vehicles across the Americas.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of vehicles.
That is a lot of vehicles.
Yeah, and it's not just the volume of vehicles, but the diversity of the region itself that makes this such an interesting topic.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into all the details about the companies and stuff, let's just clarify what exactly the Americas means,
Yeah.
because it's more than just North and South America.
Exactly. Most people think of the Americas and they just think North and South America, but it also includes all of the Caribbean islands.
Right.
And another common misconception is that Central America is a separate entity, but it's actually part of North America.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So we're talking about a massive area, over 32 million square kilometers, and over 1 billion people.
Wow. That's incredible.
It is. It's incredibly diverse, too. Not just geographically, but also just like the languages and culture.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It makes it a very complex market for any company operating in this region.
Yeah. They need to have a good strategy to appeal to so many different types of people.
For sure.
Yeah.
But let's go back to those vehicles we were talking about. Where are all of these vehicles concentrated?
Okay, so the source mentions that the U.S. leads the way.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, almost 300 million passenger cars and light commercial vehicles. And then after that, it's Brazil with over 70 million.
Okay.
And then Mexico with around 40 million.
Wow. So the U.S. has by far the most.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about here.
Definitely. So let's talk about the companies making all these cars. The source lists the top 5 selling automakers in 2023 as General Motors, Toyota, Ford, Stellantis, and Honda.
It's not really a surprise to see those companies at the top.
Right.
They're all pretty popular, so.
Yeah, they are. But how did they get so big? What are their strengths?
I'm also curious about the unique challenges they're facing in the Americas.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe we can dive into that a bit.
Okay. Well, General Motors mainly sells through the Chevrolet brand.
Okay.
And they really dominated last year. 3.19 million new vehicle registrations.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is. I think they have a strong brand presence and offer a wide variety of vehicles.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Toyota's known for reliability and good gas mileage, as always.
Right.
And then Ford is making a big push toward electric vehicles and trucks.
Oh, yeah, the F-150 Lightning.
Yes, that's right. That seems to be a popular trend.
It seems like electric vehicles are only becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, for sure. What about Stellantis? They're sort of new, right?
Yeah. Stellantis was formed from a merger between Fiat Chrysler and Peugeot, so they're still kind of figuring things out as they go.
I see.
But they do have some popular brands like Jeep and Ram, so I think they will be a major player in the near future.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And last but not least, we have Honda, known for their smaller, fuel-efficient vehicles, which is important if you're navigating crowded cities.
Yeah. So it's a mix of longtime companies and newer companies all trying to figure out the best way to be successful.
Yeah, exactly. But, we've been talking a lot about the manufacturers, but it's not just about them, right? There are also companies that manage fleets of vehicles.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about them.
Yeah, they're called fleet management companies.
Okay.
And in the Americas, there are 2 major alliances that dominate the market. Element Arval and Wheels ALD.
Wow. So they've basically split the whole market.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm curious, how do these alliances work exactly?
Well, it's all about working together and using local knowledge. So, for example, Element Arval is made up of Element Fleet Management, which is Canadian, and they handle the U.S. and Mexican markets.
Okay.
Then there's Arval, a French company, and they handle South America, mainly Brazil.
Gotcha.
And then to really cement their presence there, they've also partnered with RDA Mobility from Argentina.
Wow. So they really span the entire region.
They really do.
What about Wheels ALD?
They have a very similar setup. So Wheels Inc. is from the U.S., and they manage the U.S. and Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Then ALD, which is also a French company, manages Mexico and South America.
Wow.
And just like Element Arval, Wheels ALD is partnered with local companies to cover more of the market.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they work with Autocor in Argentina and Errand Leasing in Guatemala.
And that covers Central America.
Exactly.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
really amazing how these international companies work together.
It is. But, even with these giant alliances, there are still smaller companies that are competing with them.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And in Canada, you have Jim Pattison Lease.
Okay.
And then Brazil also has some strong local companies like Localiza, Movida, and Unidas.
Okay, cool. What about Mexico? Are there any smaller companies managing to survive there, or is it dominated by the big alliances?
Mexico actually has a pretty good mix. There's Tip Mexico and Casanova Rent. So we're seeing this fascinating mix of huge international companies and these local companies all trying to get ahead.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if there's one company that dominates the whole region, or does it vary from country to country?
It definitely varies. Even with these international alliances, no one company is at the top everywhere. Let's take a look at the three biggest markets.
Okay. The U.S., Brazil, and Mexico.
You got it.
Okay, so in the U.S., who is the biggest player?
Well, it's a very competitive market, but
Yeah.
there are a few names that stand out.
Okay, who?
There's Holman, Element Fleet Management, Enterprise Fleet, and Wheels Inc.
So it's a close race.
It is. They're all trying to get those big fleet contracts from companies and governments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about Brazil? Do you think it will be the same companies at the top?
I'm not sure.
It's actually quite different. Even though the big international companies are all present in Brazil,
Okay.
the leader is actually a local company called Localiza.
Wow, so they beat out all the big names.
They do. They actually have the biggest fleet size in all of Latin America.
That's really impressive. It is. It shows that even with all this competition from international companies, local companies can still do very well if they know their markets.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so what about Mexico? Who comes out on top there?
In Mexico, it's Element Fleet Management.
Oh, so they're doing well in the North American market.
It seems that way, yeah.
It's a really interesting mix in each country.
Yeah, you have these huge international companies going head-to-head with the local companies.
Definitely makes things interesting.
It does. But before we get too deep into the differences between these regions, I wanted to touch on something that our source mentioned, the Trump trade.
Okay. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, so the Trump trade is the term used to describe how Donald Trump's presidency affected the stock market,
Oh, okay.
particularly for certain companies like Tesla.
Okay. But why Tesla specifically?
Well, there was a lot of discussion at the time about how Trump's policies, like the ones about trade and manufacturing, would affect the entire auto industry. And Tesla, as a newer company that was doing things differently, was really affected by these changes.
Oh, I see.
Like the day after Trump was elected, Tesla's stock jumped up 14%.
Wow. That's a big jump.
Yeah, it is. A big jump.
So what does that tell us about the auto industry?
I think it shows just how much politics and the economy can impact the auto industry.
Right.
You know, government policies, global trade, even just people's confidence in the economy. They all have an effect on this industry.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It's all connected.
It really is.
So this is all super fascinating, but I just want to take a moment to connect all of this back to our listener.
Okay, good idea.
Why should someone listening to this care about this topic?
Yeah. Whether you're a fleet manager, a business owner, just a car enthusiast, or even just someone interested in global markets, I think understanding this industry is valuable.
Yeah, I can see that. It's useful to know the big companies, who they work with, the problems they face, and just all the regional differences.
Yeah, for sure. It gives you a good overall picture of the forces that are shaping this whole industry.
Exactly. And this knowledge can help people make decisions, whether they're choosing a fleet management partner, maybe looking for new investment opportunities, or even just trying to predict future trends.
It's like having a map to help you navigate this super complex and constantly changing world.
Yeah, I like that analogy. And with electric vehicles and self-driving cars becoming more popular, that map is only going to get more and more interesting.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I think that's a good place to stop for now.
Okay.
We can pick up this conversation in part 2 of this deep dive.
Sounds good. We'll continue exploring the Americas, looking closer at the challenges companies face in this dynamic region.
Can't wait.
So stay tuned, listeners.